All right, today's podcast, I sit down with Alec Quevedo, our newest real estate agent in the Todos Santos office. He's not new to the market. In fact, he's been selling real estate for over 15 years. He's worked with 2 top brokerages in the area, learned why he joined Ronival Real Estate just a month ago, and what he's doing in the real estate market because the market's changing. It's not like it was in 2020 to 2023. What's he doing to prepare himself for 2024, our changing real estate market? Take a listen. So Alec, what's been going on? I've been hearing stories about you, your history. Tell everyone where you're from.
I'm originally from Ecuador.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up between Ecuador and California, kind of going back and forth.
Why between Ecuador and California?
My family just moved back and forth when I was a kid with my 2 brother and sister, sorry. So we kind of have both cultures in us. I grew up bilingual, although Spanish is my first language. But I do speak English fairly well.
Clearly.
So yeah, it's really nice to have 2 cultures. You can really see things and how people think in different parts of the world. It's helpful, definitely.
What part of California did you grow up in?
San Luis Obispo area first, and then we moved to Southern California, all the way down to Huntington Beach area.
Is that where you learned to surf? You were telling me.
No, I started in Ecuador, and then when I went to college in San Diego, I think the most of my surfing was in San Diego. And Baja, of course, northern Baja.
Right.
Baja's basically so close that it's easy. And as a kid, it's just this, like going into another world, crossing that border.
So you were actually born in Ecuador?
I was born in the San Luis Obispo area.
Oh, okay.
And then we went to Ecuador right away. And then we moved back again a couple of times. And finally, at the end of high school, we stayed in the U.S.
And but then as an adult, you moved back to Ecuador.
I moved to Chile, actually.
Chile?
Yeah. I worked sort of as a guide all around South America, but I ended up starting my own business in southern Chile, in Patagonia.
This is what I heard of. So tell everyone and tell me about your Patagonia experience.
Well, it was an adventure travel company. We did long expeditions, nothing short, like for the day. It was more like 8 days backpacking. We had a 10-day horseback ride across Patagonia from Estancia to Estancia. We won a couple of awards for that one. That was a great trip. And then a lot of multi-sport activities, like we would combine. My favorite actually was a 3-day hike into a 3-day horse ride into a 3-day sea kayak trip down a river. And, you got into the icebergs, and it was really, really fun. And everyone left exhausted but happy from that trip.
How long did you do that?
16 years.
And it was your own company?
Yeah.
How did you come up with the idea to do this?
It's just I've always been in the outdoors, and it was kind of the outdoor adventure travel industry was in its infancy. It was kind of growing, and I just kind of sort of went into that.
Yeah. And why did you get out of it after 16 years?
Well, I kind of wanted to thaw out.
It's cold.
Patagonia is cold, even in the summer. I mean, you can have snow flurries in the summer, but also I was just looking for a change. I wanted to surf. I've always surfed, and I didn't get to there. I was too busy, as when you own a company, it's 24/7, and I wanted to kind of slow it down a little bit.
Okay.
And I had, somewhere in the middle of that, I had bought a house in Todos Santos with my sister that I really hadn't been to. So sort of at the end of my time in Chile, I came here and stayed in the house and just started fixing the roof. One of the roofs was caved in the garden, and I kind of just fell into the area, fell in love with it.
How long?
I've been here ever since.
How long ago was that?
That was 2008.
So over 15 years ago. And you made the permanent rerelocation here.
Yeah.
And
unplanned, but yeah.
And then you lived in that house that you
I lived in
co-owned?
that house while I fixed it up. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm still there.
You're still there?
I'm still there. My sister ended up buying another house nearby
Okay.
on the beach. But yeah, we added some cabins and pool and have sort of a rental compound
Oh, neat.
in Todos Santos.
Okay, so you live in the property and you rent some of the
Right. Some
rooms or areas?
Yeah.
Okay. And you got into real estate from the very beginning?
No, I waited 2010. It's a funny story. I broke my leg surfing, and it was in the summer, and I don't have AC in my house.
Mm-hmm.
I was sweating under the overhead fan, and I saw an ad for a real estate agent, and I applied.
Mm-hmm.
And to my surprise, I got hired because I've never been in the industry before. And
That was with Coldwell Banker.
Coldwell Banker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dan Benetti, who now works at Ronneval,
Mhm.
gave me the first interview.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came and I met the owners of Coldwell Banker here in Los Cabos.
Yeah.
And what they told me is that I was actually very reluctant. You know, I said, look, I'm not a salesman. And they said, Alec, you've been selling your whole life. You're a business owner.
Right.
And it didn't dawn on me, but they were right. I traveled for my company all around the world doing slideshows, and I had events, and without knowing it, I was basically a salesman. So it was an easy transition, and obviously having Spanish as a first language helped quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, 2010 was not the best year to be in real estate.
No,
Anywhere
not
in
at
the
all.
world. But it was good because I got to learn a lot and
Mm-hmm.
take a lot of courses. And
So you work with Dan Benetti, Mark Sherman, who's also
Yeah,
with us
yeah.
at Coldwell Banker, and you stayed with Coldwell Banker for how long?
I want to say 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to remember now.
So you transitioned to another company. You went to
Yeah.
Ricardo Amigo after,
Yeah. I went to Ricardo Amigo, and I've been there till recently.
like a decade.
I guess it would be 2010 to 2015. Well, close to it.
Okay.
Maybe like 7 or 8 years.
All right.
Yeah.
And you worked there and you spent your most time with Ricardo Amigo.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because it was maybe a year ago or close to a year ago, you sent me a LinkedIn message.
Huh?
And you said, hey, can I get access to the Ronneval University?
Right.
And
did.
I said, unfortunately, it's only for agents inside Ronneval.
Right.
You were like, I thought so, but
Yeah.
what prompted you to send me that message?
Well, obviously, when I sent you that message, we were having this incredible boom here. Sales were just flying in.
That was in 21 or 22?
I think it might have been 22. What did
Mm-hmm.
we December? Yeah, I think it would have been 22. But still, I was super busy. But I could see the writing on the wall that the industry was changing. It was a different world. There's a lot more people here. There's a lot more competition. And I just wanted to study and learn more. I saw the way real estate was changing and its approach to online marketing. And I wanted education, basically. I've always been someone that really took courses throughout my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never done that really in real estate. So when I saw those things, I kept seeing them. That's when I reached out to you.
And you were already doing some online digital like posts and things,
Yes.
right?
Well, I was taking courses on my own, just sort of slowly in what little time I had last year, trying to learn more about online marketing. And I started posting and learning about YouTube channels and all this stuff. So I tried to get into the new sort of world of real estate marketing. Because when I started, Todos Santos was still a really tiny area. We all knew each other.
Yeah.
People just came to me, you know. Everyone knows each other, and
Yep.
you didn't have to work that hard to get listings. So that's changed, and I could see that coming. So I'm really glad I'm taking classes now and learning more. So
What have you learned? Because how long have you been in Ronneval? Has it been a month yet?
I think it might be close to a month.
Okay. Have you learned anything yet?
I don't think so. I've met a lot of people, and I've learned a lot today about photography. And,
Yes.
I haven't had time, actually, to get into all... No, I did. Actually, I took a 3-day course already, and I haven't done I'm supposed to take a quiz, but I haven't done that yet.
The Boomtown, the CRM.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Did you use a CRM system before?
Not really, no.
Okay.
No.
How did you keep organized with all of your clients?
It was hard. I mean, I had a lot of pieces of paper everywhere, and my journal was maxed out, and I'm really grateful to have the CRM. I'm still learning about it, but
You'll never stop learning. In fact, right before the podcast, I was with our team leaders, or some of our team leaders, and we're going through our CRM system because we have tens of thousands of people in our system, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't have that technology, there's no way in hell you're going to stay on top of it.
No.
You don't know who to contact. You don't know who was the last person you contacted, or when was the last time you contacted John Smith. Right. And, what did I sell John Smith 5 years ago?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you let the technology work for you.
Right.
I mean,
you have more time, it makes it really easy, seamless, and you basically can focus on everything in a better way. Yeah.
Well,
I'm really grateful for that.
You know what I learned in my sales experience, because I also got into the business not knowing or not thinking I was a salesperson, but other people telling me that I was more in line with doing sales and not IT consulting, because I literally got fired from my job. I was an IT consultant for 5 years, and although I met great people, I had a good time, I was making good money, I was not good at being a consultant for information technology.
Right.
I was able to do just enough to get by for 5 years.
Right.
But the writing was on the wall for me. And then when I got fired, my superior said, Nick, you're a salesperson. And I was like, what? I'm not a salesperson. What am I going to sell? Right. And I was fortunate to actually go back to what I studied at the university, which was real estate.
Okay.
And so
you had a little bit of that.
Yeah, I actually had a lot of the finance-related technical experience and knowledge. So I can tell you how mathematically a mortgage payment is calculated, like the equation and everything.
Right.
And so that's the kind of level of technical information that I had. And I came to find out, yes, I was actually a more sales type of personality, and I enjoyed talking to people and helping people. And so it was, that was over 20 years ago. Wow. So it was in the beginning of 2002. And then I got into the real estate business in Chicago, and then I came down here December of 2004. So it's been 19 years already that I've been here. And the evolution that I saw was very early. I was like, I have to get my website. I have to do technology. I need a CRM system. I need to get myself organized because I don't have the experience. So how am I going to be more competitive to people that have been here for 20 plus years? And that was the way I was, able to be competitive. And the cool thing about technology is it scales. It scales so fast. Yeah. And so if you sit down and learn the technology and you continually refine the knowledge because it's always changing, then you're going to be able to adapt so much more easily.
Right.
But you made the move almost a month. You have listings. You were actually saying that just a little bit ago that you saw the writing on the wall with the change in the market.
Yes.
So what have you seen thus far in the final days of 2023?
Well, now I've seen, and I've been talking about this to a few agents lately, prices are dropping. I mean, I see on the Flex there's price drops every day, at least. And the volume of listings, they're just pouring in. Listings are pouring in, and it's exactly when I first started. That was happening in 2010. It's the exact same thing at a different scale, and I know it's a different economy, but there was a lack of inventory in 2008, and all this construction went crazy, and then all of a sudden the market got saturated with listings, and I see that happening now. So I don't know if it's on the same scale, but literally every agent I know is listing at least once a week a new property, a new home, a new development. So that's what I'm seeing. Definitely.
And in your mind, with the experience of 2010, selling real estate in this market, what are you doing to prepare yourself to be better off?
Well, I'm just really happy to have the CRM as a backing because I can really focus on all my clients and just spend time with fewer clients possibly, but just try to do the best job I can at this point and get through this. Who knows? I think this market maybe is changing, but it's not, I can't see it slowing down that much. Everyone wants to be here, let's face it. All my friends, whenever I post a picture of a sunset or something, everyone wants to be there, like jealous of emojis, and I don't know if it can really slow down that much, but just in case. It does seem like prices are coming down though.
I think
a little bit.
I feel the same as you. I think the demand is always going to be here.
Right.
The last few years, we've had a lot of new developers enter into our marketplace, and it has saturated our inventory. And we, over a year now, have been seeing the market put more new inventory to the market than is being absorbed by sales.
Right.
And so with the increase of inventory, it's just supply and demand that's going to show in time, prices will go down. And so when you're talking, Alec, with your owners that want to list properties, what are the conversations you're having to have with the sellers?
Well, I'm telling them that if they want to be competitive, they have to forget what happened the last 2 years and just market the home at the right price. There's no more just throwing a number out there and hoping it'll stick.
Yeah.
It's just not happening anymore.
What is the right price, though? In a changing market, it's difficult for real estate professionals to choose the right price. How is a owner going to choose the right price?
I think just looking at everything we have available and showing all the comps and studying the market really well. I'll use it as an example in Todos Santos right now. The houses that are selling, we're still selling homes over $800,000, which is, I know the market is different up there than here.
Right.
But the homes that are just beautifully presented, there's no clutter, they're priced right, they're flying off the shelf.
Okay.
But homes that are empty, maybe, or they're putting the big numbers, hoping to maybe, a really common thing is if it doesn't sell, we'll drop the price later. Those houses are just lingering. And so the buyers are here, and the sellers just need to price their homes right, and they'll be able to tap into those buyers that are here.
What's your opinion for buyers in this marketplace in the Todos Santos area? Your advice, working with a real estate agent or not?
I think so. If you don't work with a real estate agent, you're just not going to you're not going to see all the properties out there. People that live here, they know, even off-market properties, the agents know that's what they do for a living. They're on the pulse of the industry. And also, you're not saving any money. It's like a fallacy that you're going to save money by not using an agent. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
You're going to have this person protecting you, looking after your rights, and they'll guide you through the process. So it would be silly. It would be really silly not to use an agent as a buyer.
Also for negotiation.
Right.
As most buyers, how do they know if it's a fair price that is being asked? Like you were saying, a lot of owners are putting artificially high prices.
Right.
And if you don't know the market as a buyer and you're not working with a real estate agent with the experience, you don't have that frame of reference to say, you know what, they're asking $900,000, but the last sale in this neighborhood was $600,000.
Right.
And the way the market is, the price to do a 50% increase is too high. So maybe you do 10% more, maybe because there's no supply of comparable properties, but paying 50% higher could have worked 2 years ago. It's not working in this market.
Sometimes it did, but it's not working anymore. We're seeing a lot of homes just sitting right now.
What's the market short of?
I would say The market's sort of really nicely presented homes that are finished and staged, and maybe between 500,000 and 700,000.
Okay. Are you
We're
working?
lacking that.
And that's Todos Santos, Pescaderos, Cerritos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever venture outside those areas?
I do. I actually have a house on the East Cape, and I love spending time there. So
Your own personal house?
Yes.
Oh.
It's on the southern East Cape. It's not that as well known as most people think the East Cape, Los Barriles, or Punta Pescadero. The part I am in is south, and there's a lot of listings. Runaval has a lot of listings right next door to me now.
Vinarama?
Cavo Vinarama.
That place is gonna pop.
Yeah, I just listed a lot last week there, and I know there's another agent here I haven't met. Cyril, okay. He's got like 10 listings in there. It's really beautiful. Yeah, it's a special spot.
It was maybe 8 months ago. He's a new agent, but a lot of local experience, and his contact, the developer of that development, they struggled for like 20 years to sell. And we go in and we sell one property, and I think to date there's 8 properties, and another 10 coming to the market. And when I went there, I was surprised that that beach, you can technically surf and windsurf.
Yeah.
There's like a division where on this side you can windsurf and this side you can surf.
Right.
And so being a surfer, I can see why that
it's just
calls
empty.
you.
It's I've been camping there since I moved here. Right below where my house is now.
Yeah.
So I just love it out there. So I do a lot of activity out there. I've done a lot of showings. There's not a lot of homes, very few in fact. So it's a growing market for sure, I think.
So you'll venture out to the East Cape with clients,
All the time,
and ever in Cabo or La Paz?
Not so much, no. I have done a little bit, but you can't be an expert everywhere. I usually defer and just send those contacts to friends that I have down here. Same with La Paz. It's easier, and they're going to benefit from a pro.
Correct.
But I do, because I love the East Cape so much, I want to do it. I want to go out there, leave the world behind, get in my pickup truck, and just explore. It's always a fun day out. As you know, I saw your video there, and you kind of captured it. It's just fun and wild and safe. There's a gate, and it's like going back in time a little bit. So,
it is. It's nice to find those areas because almost 20 years, you over 15 years, but we've been coming more than that to the area, and we know people that have been here 40 years. Right? Wow. And so they'll say, oh, I remember Cabo. And you can kind of imagine that was what Cabo used to be 40 years ago. No traffic lights, no traffic, all dirt roads, and
lots of donkeys.
Yeah, lots of donkeys, cows, and more natural wildlife than anything else. Where do you think the 2024 real estate market's going to go in Todos Santos and surrounding areas?
I think it's going to really hover like it did this year. I mean, I've run numbers in the Todos Santos area, and we have less transactions, but the dollar volume is still even higher than last year somehow. It doesn't make sense to me. But
appreciation, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. So I think it's going to hover somewhere in there. I don't see it slowing down much more than that, to be honest.
Over the past few years, have you been finding your business more working with sellers or buyers?
I just actually looked at that out of curiosity, and it seems like I've been more with sellers. Maybe because I know a lot of people. I've been here a while. I don't know exactly why, but yeah, definitely I've been stronger with sellers. Not by choice, it's just one of those things that happens. Without you even knowing it.
Well, learn the CRM system, learn the Ronival way, and we have more buyers than we know what to do with. And so you can marry the buyers to your own listings.
Right.
But many times in real estate, when you work with a number of buyers, it opens the opportunities to get more listings also. Right?
I think that might have been what happened, because early on I was all sales. I didn't know real estate. And I was just making sales just from people that I knew. And then all of a sudden, all these listings came pouring in later. So that's maybe exactly what happened.
Well, they say list to last.
Right.
So you're in the right side of the business, listings, because listings tend to be more difficult than working with buyers.
Right.
Buyers have their own challenges, but what I found is that working with buyers, it's they're very emotional, but positive emotion. They're
Right.
excited about buying
I
that
agree.
property.
Yeah.
Sellers, they're equally emotional, but tend to be more negative emotions.
Okay.
How much money are you going to get me?
Right.
Why hasn't my property been shown? Why are you asking me for a price reduction?
Right.
Why don't you do more open houses? Why don't you do more marketing? And
Right.
so it's a constant grind to sell it for a higher price,
Right.
sell it faster. And let's face it, when you deal with listings, we don't control the market. We can influence the market, do better marketing, get more people through the door. But ultimately, it's the market that's going to say, I'm going to buy it or not for the
Absolutely.
price you're asking. So
Great.
I think you learning more about the CRM, the technical side of real estate, and working with more buyers, because the company will provide you with a ton of buyers,
Right.
you're going to see your business on the listing side improve, and you're going to get more buyers also. And that's the key. When I first started, it was all buyers. All buyers. I didn't
Right.
work with any sellers because I didn't know anyone. And who's going to trust me to list their property when I can't do a proper CMA, or
Right.
I can't tell them I've been selling for 5 years in the area and I've sold this many properties. So I started with buyers. I got the experience, and I was, eventually your buyers become sellers.
Right.
Every 5 to 7 years, sometimes 10 years.
Right.
And then I started listing properties, and that's when I think I grew the most as a real estate
Right.
agent. Because
Yeah, listings are definitely more sort of technical
Yeah.
work.
they are.
It's an everyday thing. Every listing to me is every day I have to do something. And I go through them, of course, and especially nowadays. But I wanted to interject, there's something funny that you probably don't remember, is in 2014, you showed one of my properties in Todos Santos. And that's when I met you. You had a different name.
Los Cabos agent.
Los Cabos agent.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny because in Todos Santos, we used to not like agents from Los Cabos because they thought Cerritos was in downtown Todos Santos. So when they were like, oh, there's a Cavo agent coming, my boss would be telling me, and I'm like, oh, great. So I get the house ready, and we met at this beautiful home. I don't know if you remember.
I do remember.
It's just like villa and
Yep.
Santos, and it was $790,000.
And
And that was a big number back then. I mean,
I
that was
remember.
the second most expensive house in Todos Santos.
And that would be, what, a $2 million house now?
It's on the market again for $1.9 million.
And
Same house.
I do remember that house. And didn't you manage it, or you?
No, I knew the owner really well.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
he was in the surf industry.
Uh-huh.
So I knew him, and he had that house built a few years before. Then he never really lived in it that much.
And you sold it eventually.
No, I didn't. I changed agencies, and it stayed. I think Dan had the listing when it sold.
And Dan sold it.
I can't remember, to be
Okay.
honest. I think someone else sold it.
Okay, but it eventually did sell.
It did sell not too long after that. There was a little mini boom, if you remember, around 2016.
Mhm.
Things started moving.
Mm-hmm.
So it sold. It was a beautiful house. It was kind of underpriced, to be honest, at that price. But yeah.
So it took a couple years for it to
took-
sell,
Yeah.
and now it's 3 times the price.
It just got listed at 1.95, I believe,
Okay,
last week. Or
that's
2
not your listing.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll bring the buyer, and then
I will.
7 years later, you'll list it. That's how it goes. It's, real estate's in cycles. Like you were saying, 16, I do remember. And then 17, we had another lull. And then 18, 19, it started picking back up. And then COVID hit.
Right.
Had a drop, but then a quick spike. And
Yeah.
that's what we've been riding the last
That's
3
what
years.
I've been writing, absolutely.
But now it's another adjustment.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for you to join the team and
Thanks.
all the
Thanks
things
for
that
having me, and
I just continue learning,
I appreciate
and
all the education.
I think the
Great.
networking is also an undervalued
Right.
commodity. And so when you surround yourself by more people like-minded, the more opportunities get
I agree,
created.
I agree.
So I'm excited for you to start doing open houses at your listings so that we can market those open houses as a company. Our agents can come and be introduced. Because we have offices in all the areas, a lot of our Cavo agents are introduced to the area because of our Todos Santos agents doing open houses and sharing their listings in our sales meetings. A number of our East Cape sales are most expensive, at least to date, listing in the East Cape was a result of our Cavo agent buying the listing. So an over $3 million sale.
Wow.
And that for sure wouldn't have happened if it weren't the agents sharing the information amongst themselves. Wow. So that gives you great hope with your listings. Be present on the sales meetings, share the information, be active in the chats, share information, help your fellow agents inside Ronival, because that all comes back.
Right.
And so the worst thing you could be as a sales agent is a secret agent.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So people need to know who you are, what you do, what your expertise is, because one of our new agents, James Laker, his specialty is Club Campestre, San Jose.
Right.
And in his first 30 days, he got 2 listings, sold them, and it's like amazing.
Wow.
So he has 3 transaction sides because one of the buyers of his listings, bought the listing,
him.
right? And so those are great opportunities that you can maximize the power of the company, the network, and all of the things that the company offers. And then obviously you bringing a decade and a half of sales experience. So
I'm looking forward to more learning.
No more learning and more new opportunities. You're like, oh, I didn't know that existed.
Right.
You know? And a lot of people are gonna meet you and be like, wow, this is this guy from Patagonia, you know? And those adventures, did you sell the company or did it just close?
No, my partner still runs it.
Okay. Do you ever get back to there?
I had gone back in the early days, but lately I haven't been back. I'm due for another trip. It's a pretty special place, and I know it's on most people's bucket list of travel destinations.
I've never been, so I'll have to get travel pointers from you.
You should get a group of people.
And do an adventure?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay. All right.
Multi-sport.
Cool. I'm all for that.
Okay.
Alec, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, and thanks for having me on board.
No, it's our pleasure. And everyone, until the next one, bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronival Real Estate and follow Nick on Instagram at NickFong_Ronival. Ready to find your Baja dream home? Check out the latest property listings at Ronival.com or findmexicohouses.com. Hasta luego.